Okay, so hello everyone, a very good afternoon to each one of our friends here. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much. I hope you are doing wonderful. Okay, guys. So today the topic that will continue is rather monopoly. What had we done about monopoly, sir? About monopoly, my dear friends, we had discussed that there is a single seller who is selling a product which has no close substitutes in the market, and this seller enjoys certain privileges which restricts other people from enjoying, Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So my dear friends, this is what I am talking about. So basically what happens is you know there is a price discrimination taking place. There is a price discrimination taking place in this market, which I had told you, because the monopolist can decide his or her own price. Now because of this they can do price discrimination. Because of this they can do price discrimination. Okay, so now let's talk about the concept of price discrimination, because I had discussed the concept of short run, supernormal profits, normal profits. And guys, one thing I had told you all, that in the long run, monopolist is only going to make what? Come on everyone. In the long run, monopolist is going to only make, yes, supernormal profits. Correct answer. In the long run, monopolist can only make supernormal profits, nothing else. In the long run, monopolist can only make supernormal profits, nothing else. Okay. Having said this, lovely friends, let's start our journey forward. Let's take our journey forward. Okay. Let's see what else can we indulge into. Let's see what else can we indulge into. Okay. Go ahead. Please pay attention here. Please pay attention. Great. So let's go ahead. What is the meaning of price discrimination under monopoly? Because as I have been telling you since the last class now, that in monopoly, you experience price discrimination. In monopoly, you experience price discrimination. So most of you will be thinking, sir, what is price discrimination that you are talking about for so long? My dear friends, price discrimination is a situation where, let's say, this is the monopolist, okay? Let's say this is the monopolist, okay? Let's say this is the monopolist. Now there are, let's say, three different consumer segments. Segment 1, segment 2, consumer segment 2, consumer segment 3. Now from each one of them, the monopolist, this guy here or the girl here, who is the monopolist, is able to charge for the same product different prices. Guess what? The product is same product, but different prices. P3, P2, P1. That's price discrimination. So does it happen in the real world? Obviously yes. I'll tell you an example. Let's say there is a village. Okay, let's say there is a village. I'll draw the village here. There is a village. Now you guys know that in most of the villages there are only one or two doctors. So let's say there is this one doctor. Okay, doctor. Now this doctor sees that there are different consumers, A, B, C, D, E. Now this doctor knows that A is a very rich farmer, B and C are middle class farmers, but D and E are very poor. So maybe the doctor A, for his particular treatment or medical advice, doctor may charge Mr. A, let's say rupees 2000 or 5000 for one session, to treat them. Same thing, this doctor may charge from B and C, let's say 500 rupees, but maybe from D and E the doctor may charge 50 rupees only, as per their economic condition. So what am I arriving at? The fact that I'm arriving at is that the same service, same person, doctor, who is a monopolist here, is charging different prices from different people. That's what price discrimination is. All right, sir. Got it, sir. You know, you all, I'll give you another example, you know, I'll give you another example. There are certain journals, you know, there are certain journals and magazines, you know. So if you are a student and you have a student ID card, if you have a student ID card, you know, to access that journal, or maybe a library, or maybe a library, a national library, maybe if you want to take a book or something, if you are a student, there is some kind of discount on the membership of that library, or for that journal. That's price discrimination, because the students are getting it at a lower rate. Railways example I gave you last day, you know, for the handicapped people or the poor people, railways have a different price segment. Not the poor exactly, I would rather say the handicapped people, I would rather say the handicapped people, isn't it guys? Rather the handicapped people. Acha, sir, we got it, sir. That's what I'm arriving at. That's what I'm arriving at. Correct, correct. Charging different prices from different people. That's what price discrimination is. But guys, do you think that, you know, price discrimination is always possible? No, 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 no. Price discrimination meaning you have understood. A monopolist can do price discrimination. Before I talk about the conditions under which a monopolist can do price discrimination, I have another question. Can there be price discrimination done by the sellers in a perfectly competitive market? What do you think, guys? What do you think, guys? Can price discrimination be practiced in a perfectly competitive market? What do you think, guys? Come on, everyone. Absolutely not, sir. Correct. Because, you know, perfect competition is characterized by perfect knowledge. So if, let's say, a seller is trying to charge high, all the consumers will come to know of it. Similarly, if the sellers are charging low, all the sellers will come to know of it. So in no situation or scenario can there be a price discrimination taking place. So please remember that's not possible in case of a perfect competition. So I'll write it down for you. Under perfect competition, under PC, PD not possible. PC means perfect competition, PD means price discrimination. Under PC, PD not possible. PD not possible. Price discrimination not possible. Okay, having said all this, let's talk about the conditions, you know. Let's talk about the conditions, you know. All right, sir, let's go. So the conditions for price discrimination, let's have a word on it. Let's have a word on it. Conditions for price discrimination, okay? Let's go ahead. Conditions for price discrimination. Conditions for price discrimination. Okay, let's go ahead. So please remember that even in monopoly, price discrimination is not always possible. Even in monopoly, price discrimination is not always possible. There has to be certain, you know, what should I say, conditions to be satisfied in order for there to be price discrimination. Haji sir. Yes sir. So let's talk about them, sir. Let's talk about them then. Okay sir, let's go ahead. Control over supply. Control over supply. Firm should have control over supply. Control over supply should be in there with the firm. It means some way the firm should be in a position that they are able to regulate the supply of the product in the market. Suppose it's not under their control, then they cannot discriminate the price. Like for example, if there are three markets A, B and C, as a seller I must be able to control how much product goes to market A, how much product goes to market B, how much product goes to market C. If as a seller I have no control over the same, then there is no way in this world that I can discriminate. So condition number one, you should have some power. Okay, okay. Next, there should be different markets. Yes, there should be different markets. So the market should be different. You know, you cannot, like for example, I'll give you an example. You cannot say like there is this handicapped person A and then there is handicapped person B. So you cannot say that to handicapped person A you will give a discount, but to handicapped B you will not give a discount. That is utter rubbish. Market here, when I am saying market means a group or a segment or a sub market. There has to be peculiarity. So if I am saying that to all the students having ID cards, I'll give journal subscription for free, it means it can be any student. It shouldn't be with conditions now that student A will get, student B won't get. So there has to be some kind of sub markets. See how I have specified my sub market. Students, here I have specified my sub market handicapped people. So it should be clear. Understood? It should be clear. And these markets should have different price elasticity. Markets should have different price elasticities. Markets should have different price elasticities. Sir, what do you mean by market should have different price elasticities? Sir, we did not understand. Market should have different price elasticities. What does it mean, sir? I'll tell you what does it mean. I'll tell you what does it mean. Wait. Market should have different price elasticity means, suppose this is one market, this is another market, this is another market. There should be different price elasticity means that there should be different sensitivities. I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example. You know, please pay attention everyone, okay? Different price elasticity should be there. So for example, if a doctor in a neighborhood is rendering a service and he has fixed his consultancy charges to be rupees 1500, now there is going to be a problem. If there is a rich consumer and if there is a poor consumer, now the rich consumer is not price sensitive, so they will give this 1500. So what should the doctor do? They should charge higher prices from this. So you should charge higher prices where the elasticity is less, low elasticity. And where should you charge less prices? You should charge less prices when the elasticity is more elasticity. So the funda is simple. If you are charging higher prices, it means it should be from the market that has lower elasticity. Arey yaar, if all the markets have same elasticity, means everybody is rich or everybody is poor, then why will you discriminate with price? If everybody is poor, you have to bloody charge low. If everybody is rich, you can charge high. Because whether you charge 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 maybe, it will not matter then. So there has to be some difference in price elasticities. That is, there should be different price sensitivities. If there is no different price sensitivity, then there is what it doesn't matter only. Getting me? Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. We have got it. So higher prices, lesser elasticity. Okay. But the question is, lesser prices should be charged in a market which has more elasticity, okay. And final 3 points I have said, that there should be control over supply. This market should have different price elasticities. And fourth point, no reselling possibility. What does it mean, no reselling possibility? I'll give you an example. Suppose there is a product, okay? Let's say chips. Now I know that this is market A, where generally people are what should I say, lower income class, and B, where people are higher income class. So same chips, let's say I'm selling it here for rupees 100 and here I'm selling it for rupees 50. That's price discrimination. That's fantastic. But there should be no possibility of resell. Meaning it should not be possible that a consumer from market A goes and sells this at 70 rupees to market B, then nobody will buy from the original seller only. So this should not happen. The possibility of this should not happen. I mean, the market should be so distant that it is not possible for sellers in market A to sell in market B. It's not possible. So it's different markets and no connection between the two markets. So there is no possibility of resell, no reselling possibility. My dear friends, only and only when these four conditions are satisfied, there can be a situation of price discrimination. There can be a situation of price discrimination. Otherwise, sir, there is no situation of price discrimination possible. Price discrimination will not be possible at all. Not possible at all then. You know, that's what we are talking about. This is arbitrage. One of your friends are asking arbitrage. Arbitrage means a seller buys from market A at 50 and sells in market B at 70. So they are making an arbitrage profit. This should not be possible. That should not be possible. Buying from A and selling in B. If that is possible, price discrimination cannot take place, will not take place, will not take place. So guys, remember this. So a monopoly is possible only in markets. Monopoly is only possible in markets where following conditions are satisfied. And please look at the conditions carefully. Okay. Number one, the monopoly should have control over the supply in the markets. There should be different markets. There should be different price elasticities. I mean, people should be from different backgrounds in the market. And finally, it should not be possible to buy from one market and sell it in the other market. If that is possible, then it's better not to do this, because otherwise it's basically the loss to the monopolist. There should be no possibility of resell, guys. Understood, guys? Come on, everyone. Is it clear? Yes or no till here? Fatafat, everyone, what say? Yes, sir, it's crystal clear. So moving on. Now, friends, having said all this, let's pay attention, guys. Let's pay attention, everyone. Having said all this, now what is the topic? Guys, now I'll be explaining you different degrees of price discrimination. Guys, do you know there is an economist? Acha, before I teach you degrees of price discrimination, what about 2 or 3 MCQs? So let's ask you that first before we move on to further details. Okay. Acha, sir, can you please explain all this in Hindi also once again? Okay, agreed, good. See, conditions for price discrimination. प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन का मतलब है कि एक मोनोपोलिस्ट एक ही प्रोडक्ट के लिए अलग अलग बाजारों में अलग अलग प्राइसेस चार्ज करेगा, बट ये ऐसे तैसे जैसे तैसे नहीं हो सकता. इसके लिए कुछ कंडीशंस जरूरी है. सबसे पहली कंडीशन है कंट्रोल ओवर सप्लाई. मतलब ये मोनोपोलिस्ट के हाथ में होना चाहिए कि वो किसी बाजार में किस प्राइस पर अपने प्रोडक्ट को बेचना चाह रहा है, और ये उसके कंट्रोल में होना चाहिए कि किसी बाजार में कितना सामान उसका बिक रहा है. पहली बात. दूसरी बात, बाजारें अलग अलग होनी चाहिए. एक ही बाजार के अंदर आप भेदभाव नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन मतलब भेदभाव करना. तो बाजारें अलग अलग होनी चाहिए, ठीक है ना. आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. हाँ, बाजार अब ऐसा हो सकता है रिच पुअर, ये हो सकता है, बट अब आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि पुअर ए पुअर बी, पुअर ए से आप पूरा प्राइस लोगे, पुअर बी से आप नहीं लोगे, ये गलत है फिर. तीसरी बात, मार्केट्स में प्राइस इलास्टिसिटीज अलग होनी चाहिए. कहने का अर्थ है ये होना चाहिए कि अगर आप एक पर्टिकुलर प्राइस चार्ज कर रहे हो मार्केट ए में, तो कंज्यूमर्स का जो रिएक्शन होगा मार्केट ए में वो बी से अलग होना चाहिए. ऐसा कब होगा? जब कंज्यूमर्स प्राइस सेंसिटिव एक मार्केट में ज्यादा है, एक मार्केट में थोड़े कम है. अब अगर कंज्यूमर प्राइस सेंसिटिव कम है, मतलब इलास्टिसिटी लो है, वहां पर ज्यादा प्राइस चार्ज कर लो. लेकिन अगर कंज्यूमर जो है प्राइस सेंसिटिव ज्यादा है, मतलब प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी हाई है, तब बेटर है लो प्राइस चार्ज करो आप. और फाइनली, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं हो पाना चाहिए कि अगर आप दो बाजारों में अलग अलग दामों पर बेच रहे हो, तो जहां आप कम दाम में बेच रहे हो कोई वहां से खरीद के उस बाजार में बेच दे जहां पर आप ज्यादा दाम में बेच रहे हो, इससे तो आप ही का नुकसान हो गया ना, आप ही का घाटा हो गया। ये अर्थ है दोस्तों प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन का, एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ आई मीन टाइप्स ऑफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन। गाइस इज इट क्लियर? कंडीशंस ऑफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन अब तो क्लियर है एवरीवन? इज इट क्लियर? कम ऑन यार, फटाफट एवरीवन, फॉर दोज हु रिक्वेस्टेड इन हिंदी, कम ऑन यार। यस सर, इट्स पॉसिबल, इट्स क्लियर, ओके। Okay. All right then, great. Now, my dear friends, there was an economist. Okay. First of all, before talking about this economist, I was doing MCQ. So let me ask you some MCQ questions. Okay. Question number 1. Market where price discrimination is possible. A. Perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, D. Monopolistic competition. I'll write 2 or 3 questions, then you will answer. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Conditions for price discrimination are: A. different markets, B. different price elasticities, C. no arbitrage possibility, that is reselling possibility, D. all the above. Guys, I'll give you 2 minutes to think and answer these 2 questions before I talk about anything further. Okay. Okay, great. So yes, all of you are correct. The questions were pretty easy. I myself know that it was just for the sake of revision, nothing else. Obviously, market where price discrimination is possible is monopoly market that we are talking about. So there is no doubt about the same. And here it will be all the above. So you all are absolutely correct in stating the same. You all are absolutely correct in stating the same. Okay. So yes, having said that, now my dear friends, there was one economist whose name was Professor Pigo. Obviously, he was an economist. Professor Pigo, as per Professor Pigo, there are 3 types of price discrimination, 3 degrees of price discrimination, as we call it. 3 degrees of price discrimination, as we call it. There are 3 degrees of price discrimination, as we call it. Come on, everybody, let's have a look at it. What are the 3 degrees of price discrimination? Come on, everyone. Point A. First degree. Point B, second degree. C, third degree. Sir, what is this? Can you explain? Yes. My dear friends, first degree is a price discrimination generally practiced by doctors and lawyers. Okay. Here, what they do is basically, they charge different prices based on ability to pay. So yaar, try to understand na. Suppose lawyer is or a chartered accountant is providing let's say consulting service. So now the chartered accountant knows that a big client will be able to pay more, but it's not that the big client is always going to stick around. So you can always have small clients. So if you are having small clients, clients with a lesser turnover, you can always charge less from them. So whatever maximum they are able to pay, you extract the maximum out of that. That is first degree price discrimination, where the principle is simply according to the ability to pay. According to the ability to pay. according to the ability to pay. Guys, is first degree price discrimination clear, everyone? Come on yaar, what say? Is this much clear, first degree price discrimination? Come on yaar, everyone. Yes sir, it's possible and it's clear also. So next, moving on here, what is second degree price discrimination, sir? Friends, when we talk about second degree price discrimination, it's a situation where price is not charged on the basis of ability to pay. It's charged on the basis of quantity you buy, based on quantity purchased, based on quantity purchased. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Guys, if you go to a local shop like, pantaloons or something, what you will find? What you will find? The name of the professor is Professor Pigo, by the way. Okay. So, second degree price discrimination, I'll give you an example. If you go to a local pantaloons, you will see that for one shirt or maybe a t-shirt, they are charging, let's say 700 rupees, let's say. But they tell you that if you buy at least 3, you will get 400 off. But on the first product, you will not get anything off. Are you getting it, guys? Otherwise, you're not getting anything off. Otherwise, you're not getting anything off. That's the logic, friends. That's the logic, friends. That's what I'm talking about. My dear friends, what I'm talking about is that in second degree price discrimination, prices are charged on based on the quantity that you buy. It's based on the quantity you buy. So if somebody buys lesser quantity, maybe they'll have to pay a higher price. But if you buy more, you'll have to pay less. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Suppose you buy potatoes for your house purpose. Maybe they'll charge you 20 rupees a kg or 30 rupees a kg, whatever the rate may be. Correct? But suppose somebody offers that shopkeeper that they will buy 100 kg of potatoes for some use maybe. That's, my dear friends, second degree price discrimination. That's, my dear friends, second degree price discrimination. Understood? That's, second degree price discrimination. Based on quantity you buy. Correct. But what is third degree price discrimination, friends? That's interesting, you see. Third degree price discrimination is interesting, you see. Third degree price discrimination tells you what? It classifies customer segments basically, like the railway example I have been giving on for so long, that handicapped people are giving another price and normal people or the people not handicapped are not paying are paying another price. That's what I'm saying. Or maybe based on use, like you must have heard that if you are using electricity for domestic purposes, the rates will be lower. Electricity rates will be lower. But at the same time, if you are using commercially, like for some business purpose, then the license charges and the electricity charges vary a little. That's what I'm saying. That's third degree price discrimination when customer segmentation is done. In first degree, the objective is whatever somebody is able to pay, take the maximum out of everyone. Second degree tells us that there is nothing like this. If you buy more, you will get the discount. And the third degree tells that no, we are going to divide something logically, the customer segment according to some logic, and then whatever that logic is, we pursue that and try to bring on the change. Getting it, guys? So that's the 3 degrees of price discrimination. That's the 3 degrees of price discrimination. That's the 3 degree of price discrimination, guys. That's 3 degrees of price discrimination. All right, sir. We have got it, sir. So now, having said this, let's talk about objectives of price discrimination. Objectives of price discrimination. Guys, degrees of price discrimination is clear, kya? Then I'll move on to the next topic. Objectives of price discrimination. Objectives of price discrimination. Come on here, everybody. Okay, so I'll explain all the three once more. Okay, degrees of price discrimination, this time in Hindi though. Okay, number one, फर्स्ट डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. फर्स्ट डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन के अंतर्गत कस्टमर का पेमेंट की कैपेसिटी आप देखते हो, है ना. कस्टमर्स के पेमेंट की कैपेसिटी आप देखते हो, जितना वो लोग पे करने के लिए केपेबल है आप उनसे उतना ले लेते हो. अब आप समझो ना, मैं एक डॉक्टर हूं, मान लीजिए मैं ऐसे करके बैठा हूं. अब अगर एक कस्टमर, मैंने मान लो सेट कर रखा है कि मैं कंसल्टेंसी का 2000 चार्ज करूंगा, ठीक है ना. मैं अगर किसी को कोई मेडिकल एडवाइस दूंगा तो अब मैं 2000 रुपया चार्ज कर रहा हूं. अब अगर कोई रिच पर्सन आया वो मुझे 2000 दिया, कोई मिडिल क्लास आया चलिए 2000 दे दिया. अब अगर एक पुअर आएगा तो मैं क्या उसका इलाज नहीं करूंगा, मैं ऐसे बैठे रहूंगा क्या कि नहीं 2000 दो, नहीं तो नहीं. मैं ये पुअर से मैं भाई उस पुअर पर्सन से पूछूंगा कि भाई साहब आप क्या पे कर सकते हो, आपकी एबिलिटी क्या है, किसमें आपको कष्ट नहीं होगा. अगर वो 2000 की जगह 200 बोलेगा मैं उसको मेडिकल एडवाइस दूंगा और 200 लूंगा, जरूरत पड़ा फ्री में सर्विस दूंगा. बट द पॉइंट इज, ये हो गया फर्स्ट डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. जो जितना दे सकता उतना खींच लो, सीधी बात, नो बकवास. फर्स्ट डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. सेकंड डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन क्या बोलता है? सेकंड डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बोलता है कि भाई बेसी खरीदोगे क्या, अगर आप बेसी खरीद रहे हो तो चलो डिस्काउंट मिलेगा, अगर आप बेसी नहीं खरीद रहे हो डिस्काउंट नहीं मिलेगा. थर्ड डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बोलता है कि भाई कंज्यूमर सेगमेंट्स को बांट लीजिए, नॉर्मल, हैंडीकैप्ड, इस तरह से, और उस अनुसार उनसे चार्ज कीजिए. दैट्स थर्ड डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. नाउ गाइस, मूविंग ऑन टू ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. सो ऑब्जेक्टिव नंबर 1 इज दैट द मोनोपोलिस्ट विल ऑलवेज want to maximize profits, because otherwise if they don't charge lower in one market they will not be able to sell in that market. So if no money is coming they are making a loss. So the first objective is maximize profit. Maximize profit. Next, it can be to dispose of surplus stock. Sometimes what happens is that there is surplus stock left. So what the monopolist does is they reduce their prices, so the consumers from other segments are able to buy the product. That's what we are talking about. Point number 2. Point number 3, to enjoy economies of scale. Now you see, if a firm charges only high, they will only be able to sell to a few consumers. In that way their cost production will be high. So what they can do is they can charge at two different prices in different markets. When they know that they can do this, they will produce in higher quantity, thus the cost per unit will be low, enjoying economies of scale, because large scale production would be possible. Okay. Number 4, to capture foreign markets. Sometimes foreign markets may demand a different price, so in order to sell at that price you can change your prices. And finally, to ensure equity. To ensure equity, what does it mean to ensure equity, sir? It means treating everybody, every consumer in the society equally. Treating equally doesn't mean that to the rich person you are charging 500, so to the poor people also you are charging 500. No, you have to balance the disadvantage. So what you can do is you can charge rich a little higher and the poor a little lower. That's what I'm talking about. You can balance the disadvantage. So these are the some of the objectives of price discrimination that we study. These are some of the objectives of price discrimination that we study. Understood, guys? Yes, sir. And as you all already know, I have told you time and again that in a monopoly market, equilibrium is achieved when MC equals to MR. And I have told you the graph. One last time I'll draw it for you, but that's the graph simply looks like, like this is there, this is this, there is this average revenue curve, which is, like this, somehow like this. Okay. Then there is this marginal revenue curve whose slope is a little steeper. Yes, there is this marginal revenue curve. Okay. And then there is this marginal cost curve. The point of intersection of MC and MR tries to induce equilibrium. Full stop. Game over. This is the equilibrium that is trying to be induced. Bas, full stop. Game over. Khatam. Game over. And then in this process, there is equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity. Khatam. Finished. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I am talking about. Sir, we have got the things clear. We have got the logic clear. We have got the things clear. We have got the logic clear. So my dear friends, this is how you go about it. Objectives of price discrimination. Okay, fantastic, sir. Fantastic, sir. So that's how you go about it, guys. All right, that's how you go about it. So these are the objectives of price discrimination. Guys, after explaining objectives of price discrimination and showing this balanced diagram, can we move forward? Yeah, come on everybody, can we move forward? Yeah, fatafat, yeah, come on everyone. All right then, guys. So yes, having said all this, now my dear friends, let's ask you two more MCQs before I move further on to the next market structure. Okay, before I go on to the next market structure. Okay, please pay attention, sir. Please pay attention, sir. MCQ again, two MCQs. Question 1: who discussed the concept of price discrimination? Option A, Marshall. Option B, Smith. C, Kurno. D, Pigo. Question A. Question 2, dividing customers into segment indicates what kind of price discrimination? Indicates what kind of price discrimination? Come on everybody, pay attention here. Option A. Option A, what kind of price discrimination? Option A, first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree. Come on everyone, your answers please everybody, your answers please everybody. Let's have a look at it. Yes, 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 very good Mr. Barkatullah, very good answer. Very good Kanishk, good answer. Himanshu, great answer. Diksha, good answer. Ananya, correct. Gunjan, correct. All right, so almost all the friends have given the correct answers. I cannot take all the names obviously. So yes, who discussed the concept of price discrimination? It was Pigo. It was Pigo who took the who discussed the concept of price discrimination, right? And dividing customers into segments, it was third degree price discrimination. So you all are right in your approach in stating the same. Okay, so go ahead, sir. Let's go ahead, sir. Let's go ahead, sir. Let's go ahead, sir. My dear friends, now there's a topic called economic effects of monopoly. So I'll discuss some, but it's obviously self-explanatory. Okay, but yes, to guide you through what is the economic effects. Number one is, number one, people often criticize this because it transfers consumer surplus to producers. You see, because what happens in the long run is that consumers have to buy from one producer only, so producers are able to raise the prices in a way that consumers lose the advantage. That's obviously. Option 2, the monopolist may influence the political process in the country. They may interfere in the country's political situation, which is somewhat not desirable. You don't want corporates to indulge into or in any way engage with the political situation of the country, because that's democracy. That's violating democracy. If the corporate houses are able to control the country, it shouldn't happen. Three, even the suppliers of the supplier to the monopolist face disadvantage. Supplier to monopolist face disadvantage. Guys, I'll tell you how. Disadvantage. I'll tell you how. Guys, once in our locality where I am staying, I'll just an example, okay? Don't take it too seriously, okay? So there was this seller of vada pav, okay? And this seller of vada pav became very famous. Let's call this seller of vada pav Mr. X. Now this seller of vada pav became very, famous. Now what they started doing was, obviously they were charging high prices from the consumers, but what they started doing was, like, there are different suppliers. Suppliers of bread. For vada pav you need the bread, right? So there is supplier 1, supplier 2, supplier 3. Now, so let's say, because they used to sell so much vada pav that they had to buy from 3 suppliers. Now what used to happen was, initially when they were buying from the suppliers, they were buying at, let's say, 10 rupees per packet. 10 rupees per packet, 10 rupees per packet. Eventually they found out that only suppliers are only selling it to them because they are giant sellers. So they reduce their prices to rupees 8. Now guys, you will think from the supplier's perspective. This person, vada pav buyer, is bread buyer. They are buying, from each supplier, let's say around 30,000 packets from each one, each month. Now you think, as a seller, you will think that, oh my God, if I don't agree to what this monopolist tells me, I will be losing out on the sales of 30,000 packets. So eventually they will have to agree to sell at a lower price, Yes guys, that's the problem. That's the problem we are discussing. So supplier tends to face a disadvantage. Suppliers tend to face a disadvantage as they have to reduce their prices. And one more economic effect, there are many, you can just keep reading on. Okay, moving on. Point number 4, you pay attention, sir, is lack of innovation intention. Lack of innovation intention. I'll tell you why. Lack of intention to innovate. Sir, we didn't understand. What is it? Lack of intention to innovate. Sir, what does it mean? It means that, when there is competition, each seller will try to bring something new into their product because they know that they have to sell it. But guys, think of a situation where there is no such intention. Why the hell will I want to sell more or bring innovation if I am the monopolist here? So lack of intention to innovate. These are some of the economic effects of monopoly. Okay, so there are many. I have discussed, around 4. So let me revise with you each one of them. Okay, number 1, it results in transferring consumer surplus to the producer. Why, sir? Because I'll explain it in Hindi again once more. See, आज लॉन्ग रन में आप जो प्राइस चार्ज करो कंज्यूमर को, तो आप ही से खरीदना पड़ेगा, तो आप हायर प्राइसेस चार्ज करके कंज्यूमर का एडवांटेज को कम कर सकते हो. दूसरा पॉइंट, क्योंकि आप मोनोपोलिस्ट हो, आप बहुत बड़े हो गए हो, तो आप पॉलिटिकल सिनेरियो को कंट्री का इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकते हो. तीसरा पॉइंट, जो सप्लायर्स हैं आपके प्रोडक्ट्स के, आप कहीं से तो रॉ मटेरियल खरीदते होगे, उनको भी आप कम प्राइस पे करते हो फिर, क्योंकि उनको भी पता है कि आप मोनोपोलिस्ट हो, आप बड़ी क्वांटिटी में खरीदते हो, उनका भी डिसएडवांटेज. और मेरे दोस्तों, आखिरी बात ये है कि इंटेंशन टू इनोवेट कम हो जाता है. सर, इसका क्या अर्थ है? देखिए, आज अगर मेरा कंपटीशन है तो फिर मैं क्या करूंगा ना, तो मैं क्या करूंगा यार, मैं ये सोचूंगा कि चलो यार कुछ नया नया बदलाव लाया जाए, है ना, क्योंकि मेरा कंपटीशन है बाजार के अंदर. लेकिन जब मेरा कोई कंपटीशन ही नहीं रहेगा तो मैं काय को इनोवेशन करूंगा. इसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जांपल, द बिगेस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ दिस लैक ऑफ इनोवेशन इज नोकिया. Nokia was so confident and they were so huge. मतलब iPhone was not in the scene, Apple was not in the scene only, and they could never have come in the scene. Like Apple has gone so big today, it couldn't have become so big. Not at all possible for Apple to become so huge. The only credit is Nokia. because Nokia was under the impression that, oh, Android has come. What the heck is Android? We will continue with whatever we are doing. Bus. That is what took down Nokia. So there was lack of intention to innovate because they had become a monopoly in reality. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. Is it crystal clear, everyone? Come on, everyone. So these are some of the economic effects of monopoly. Come on, everyone. Is it crystal clear? Yes, no, yes, no. Come on, everyone. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Now, my dear friends, we are moving into the world of imperfect competition. We are going into the world of imperfect competition. We are going into the world of imperfect competition. That is monopolistic competition, imperfect competition, or as we call it, monopolistic competition. Okay. So let's go ahead here. Imperfect competition, or as you can call it, monopolistic competition. Imperfect competition, example, monopolistic competition. There are two actually here, monopolistic and oligopoly. There are two types, monopolistic competition and then there is oligopoly here. Okay, so the two types we are going to discuss one by one. The two types we are going to discuss one by one. Okay, starting obviously with monopolistic competition, gradually moving on to oligopoly. All right, so yes, let's go ahead here. Let's start with monopolistic competition. Okay, great. So guys, let's go ahead. All right, let's go ahead, guys. Let's talk about monopolistic competition. Pay attention, everyone. Let's stick here. Let's stick here. Monopolistic competition. Let's stick here. Okay, sir. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, sir. We are listening, sir. So, my dear friends, what is monopolistic competition? My dear friends, it's a situation. Okay, monopolistic competition is a situation. Monopolistic competition is a situation in which there are large number of sellers, obviously, but they are trying to differentiate their product. I will give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example. You see Bata, Adidas, Nike, Puma, and then there is this Woodland, Khadims, and some more, some more of these. Okay, I'm unable to recollect some more names, but yes, so there are so many. Guys, can you tell me one product that they all deal in? They all deal in one product. One product is common at least. What is that? Can you tell me, guys? Yes, you are correct. You all are absolutely correct. When you tell me that, sir, all of them, it's common to all of them that they are dealing in, what should I say? They are all Bata, Adidas, Nike, Puma, Woodland, Khadims, all are dealing in shoes at least, or footwear as you call it. Footwear you can call it, correct? Now guys, pay attention. Each one of them have a monopoly in terms of the brand. Monopoly of brand. What does it mean, sir? Like suppose there are these consumers, pay attention, everyone. Now there are these consumers. They know that Puma shoes are best. Like they like Puma, the quality, the color and everything of Puma. So they will always buy the product from Puma. So Puma has a brand monopoly because these consumers are never leaving Puma. because these consumers are never leaving Puma. Okay, these consumers are never leaving Puma. But guys, pay attention. Don't you think there is other group of consumers as well? Don't you think that there is other group of consumers as well who think about Nike the same way? So Nike also has a brand monopoly. That's what I'm talking about. That there is monopoly of brand. There is monopoly of brand, as each brand has some kind of customer loyalty. Customers are loyal, but there is also competition with other brands. There is also competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. There is also competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. There is competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. There is competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. So yes, there is monopoly of brand, but there is also competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. Yes, my lovely friends. Yes, my lovely friends. That's what I'm talking about. So there is monopoly of brand, but competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's called monopolistic competition. That's called monopolistic competition. Where, pay attention everyone, where there is monopoly of the brand but competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. Where there is monopoly of the brand but there is competition with other brands having similar monopoly power. Here monopoly doesn't mean that I am the single seller. Here monopoly means I am enjoying so much of customer loyalty that the ones who are with me will stay with me. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Guys, have I given you the idea of what monopolistic competition is? Just if not 100%, at least 30%. What say guys? At least 30% have you understood, so that I can start with the features at least? Come on everyone. Come on friends. Yes, fantastic. Most of you with me, most of you here are with me on the same page. All right then, fantastic. So then let's have a, charcha. Let's have a discussion then. Okay. Yes sir. Yes sir. Yes sir. So sir, pay attention. For those who have not understand even 30%, please listen, you will understand. Features of monopolistic competition. Features of monopolistic competition. Pay attention everyone. Pay attention everyone. Large number of sellers. Pay attention everyone. Correct. Features of monopolistic competition. Number one, there are a large number of sellers, not infinitely large like perfect competition, but large. Correct. Yes. Okay. Product differentiation. In that market, the perfect competition, the products were homogeneous. Okay. Products were homogeneous. But here there is product differentiation, though it may be slight. Only little product differentiation, yes, it's possible. Only little product differentiation, yes, possible. How product differentiation occur? Obviously, like for example, Nike and everything, they are selling the same shoes. Correct? But now how can they differentiate it? Like they can bring on the different color, different size, the different design. Yes, they can market it differently. So yes, this makes the product different. Like Nike has brought this Nike Air, I think. I don't remember, I may be poor with it, but Nike has Nike Air. Similarly, Puma has a different concept. So everybody is trying to differentiate their product, though all are selling footwears. Correct? So though all are selling the footwears, the products are quite similar to each other. That's what I'm talking about. Product differentiation to certain extent does exist. Product differentiation to certain extent does exist. So point number 2, product differentiation. Point number three, pay attention everyone. Sure, there is a slight product differentiation, but it does exist. Okay. Then there is freedom of entry and exit. There is freedom of entry and exit. Freedom of entry and exit. What does it mean, sir? What does it mean? Freedom of entry and exit. No Khushdeep, price is not included. Freedom of entry and exit. Here there is nothing new. Even if you want, you can start manufacturing shoes. That's what I'm saying. No barriers. It's just like perfect competition here. No barriers to entering the market and selling the product, and no barrier to exiting the market and to stop selling the product. Okay. So there is no barrier to entry and exit that way. There is no barrier to entry and exit that way. Okay. That's what we are discussing here. All right, guys. Fantastic, sir. Fantastic, sir. No barriers to entry and exit. And moving on, guys, to point number 4. To point number 4. What is it, sir? What is it, sir? Here, this market has a very good thing. Something called non-price competition. Something called non-price competition. What do you mean by, sir, non-price competition, sir? What do you mean by non-price competition, sir? Please tell us. Very important, pay attention. Very important, pay attention, sir. Here, let's say Nike is trying to compete with Puma or with Adidas, whatever brands are there. They will never do that. Nike will not try to boost the sales by reducing price, or for Puma or for Adidas. Yes, they may reduce the price when the products are already old, when new collection is coming in order to sell off the extra collection. They may reduce the price, but that's not the purpose is to sell off the extra collection. The purpose is never to compete on the basis of price. Never. They will not try to reduce their price in order to compete. No. You all will be asking, why, sir? Why, sir? Why is it so, sir? It's a logical question. Can any of you give me a possible answer? Just think and you will give the correct answer. Just think and you will give the correct answer. I am quite sure. Just think, guys. Come on, everyone. Think. Okay, great. No, one of the logic is, sir, that they have brand monopoly. That is correct. One logic. But you want to understand one greater logic? Yes. All of them are in shoes business. You see, if they start playing cheap games, for example, if Nike changes its shoe price from 5,000 to, let's say, 2,000, Puma can any day do it 1,500, Adidas can any day do it 1,200. In this process, they are changing the habit of consumers. Now none of them will in the future be able to raise their prices. None of them. What will happen now? The price of shoes, good shoes, that was assumed to be 5,000 in the market, it will be around 1,000 rupees. So they themselves have put the button on self-destruction. Now the entire shoe industry is gone. The prices of shoe in the shoe industry have gone down. The prices of shoes in the shoe industries have gone down. The prices of shoes in the shoe industries have gone down. Just imagine. That's what is going to happen. It will naturally happen, na, guys? Because you're at the end of the day
recording in progress
in order to sell more. Isn't it, guys? That's what I'm talking about. Overall, prices of shoe in the market is going to reduce. Yes, sir. We get it, sir. So that's the point. That's the logic, guys. So my dear friends, that's why yes. So sir, how do they compete? If they don't compete by reducing price, see, competition can be on the basis of heavily aggressive advertising. You can aggressively advertise. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you what. Like, see, Puma Puma has its brand ambassador like people like Virat Kohli. You know, if for the football fans, you know, I believe Neymar is with Puma. Maybe information some might have changed, but yes. On the other hand, when this is happening with Puma around there, you know what Nike does? Nike makes a deal with Cristiano Ronaldo. So you see what is happening around here. You know, what is happening around here is that each brand has, you know, tried to aggressively advertise. That's what I'm talking about. Aggressive advertising, heavy advertising. You know, like, you know, advertising like anything else. Competition. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You know, they may also advertise or also, you know, try to make better, you know, after sales services. Like, you know, after sales services. Like, for example, you know, Puma or Nike may bring in a concept wherein if you had bought some old collection, then you can, you know, exchange that with a newer collection by paying some more. If you are somebody who wants to save money but at the same time wants to wear trending shoes, you know, you can do that. After sales services, you know, if there is some kind of tear or damage to your shoes, they will, you know, ensure that to 1 year they will, you know, change it for you. They'll give you a brand new shoe if there is any kind of damage, physical damage taking place. So that's what I'm trying to say. They can compete on the basis of the kind of service they provide, the kind of warranty, the kind of aggressive advertisement they may pursue, but never ever will they try to compete by reducing the prices, because at the end of the day it's like, you know, self-destruction. People will get used to it. Now, for example, you know, Zomato and Swiggy, I personally believe, have put this button on self-destruction. Why? Because now people are in the habit of buying food at a lesser price than its cost. They are in this habit where they will buy food if it's at 40% or 50% off. Got it? That's the logic I'm talking about. So yes, forget it. This is something that I have already explained to you all. Now moving on, guys. Sir, what does an equilibrium situation look like here? My dear friends, I'll tell you something interesting. Here also, the demand curve is as same. The demand curve is as same as the monopoly market. But the only difference here is that the demand curve, or the average revenue curve as you would like to call it, is relatively flat compared to monopoly. Bus, that's it. Relatively flat compared to monopoly. Bus, a little change, nothing big, no huge difference. The curve is relatively flat here. Bus, that's it. The curve is relatively flat here. Bus, that's it. Shall show you an example. Okay, pay attention everyone. So if this is the price, this is the quantity, correct? So what will happen is the curve is like this, you know, it will remind you of monopoly market. But the only difference is, you know, if you have seen monopoly market, you know what I have done is, there basically I have tried to keep a little difference. I have tried to keep a little, you know, steeper curve. Here the curve is relatively flatter. Otherwise, to yeah, it's the same, you know, MR curve is here, MC curve goes like this. Here the intersection is taking place. This is the equilibrium point and everything. The conditions of equilibrium are the same. That is, number one, MC should be equal to MR, and number two, MC cuts MR from below, full stop. It's the same. There is no huge difference there. Here also, you know, much like, you know, monopoly, I'll not repeat the diagram only. Here also I'll not show you the diagram because in monopoly I've already done it. Here also, like in monopoly, just like monopoly, there was in the short run the possibility of supernormal profits, normal profit and losses. Here also in the short run, you can make, you can make supernormal profits. And same diagram like monopoly which I had shown last day. There can be supernormal profits, there can be normal profits, and there can be losses. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. That's the point here. That's the point. Okay. That's the point, sir. But what will happen in the long run, sir? You know, my dear friends, in any market, okay, in any market where there is competition, in the long run, you will only make normal profits. You will ask me why? You will obviously ask me why. You are logical in asking so. The reason is that if in the short run you are making supernormal profits, since there is no barrier to entry, new firms will enter, so your supernormal profits will fall. And suppose in the short run you are incurring losses, some of the firms will leave the market. So in the long run, eventually the losses will be wiped off and you'll be making only normal profits. That's exactly what we are talking about. Acha, is that so, sir? Yes, my dear friends, that is so. So guys, let me ask you one or two MCQ questions and let's find it out what you have been able to understand. Okay, let's see. A market having products with no close substitutes. Come on everyone. Option A, is it monopoly? Option B, is it perfect competition? Option C, is it monopolistic competition? Option D, is it oligopoly? Next question. A market with homogeneous products. A, monopoly. B, perfect competition. C, monopolistic competition. D, oligopoly. So another two questions, guys. Come on, these are the next fifth and sixth questions. Come on, everyone. Come on, guys. Pay attention, everyone. Very good, Vagdehi. Correct answer. Very good, yaar. People have started answering the question correctly. The first one is, a market with no close substitutes, obviously it means it's a monopoly market, because the monopoly's products has no close substitutes, right? Yes. And the market with homogeneous products means product exactly the same. Obviously we are talking about perfect competition. Obviously we are talking about perfect competition. So there's no doubt about this. Make sure, guys, I have told you all consistently, and I'll suggest everyone, because I see some new names today. Please remember that if you attend any class in between now, you will face a lot of difficulty, because the entire curriculum of business economics is interrelated. It's not bad. Maybe there is some reason that you could not attend the previous classes. It's all right. But if you want to attend live class, please make sure that you watch the backup uploaded in an institute's YouTube channel as well. Right? So please remember this. Okay? Moving on. A market with homogeneous product, it's perfect competition. Okay? Next question. A market where aggressive advertisement takes place. Option A, monopoly. B, perfect competition. C, monopolistic competition. D, none of above. Let's hear it from you all. Come on, everyone. So you all are correct when you tell me. When you tell me that it is monopolistic competition, sir. Correct. It's monopolistic competition. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Okay. Yes, sir. Correct. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Next question. A firm in a monopolistic competitive market, monopolistically competitive market, in the long run, will make option A supernormal profits, B normal profit. This is the 8th question or the 9th question MCQ for the day. Losses, D none. Come on everyone, let's pay attention and let's answer this question. Let's hear it from you all. What do you say, guys? You all are absolutely correct. You all are absolutely correct. Sir, the answer that you are looking for is normal profits. Because in the long run they will make only normal profits. Because in the long run they will only make normal profits. Because in the long run they will make only normal profits. Correct. You are correct. In the long run. Acha guys, I'll not write it as an MCQ question, but just asking, what do you think about monopolistic competitive firms' activity in short run? Like what kind of profits will they make in the short run? What do you think, guys? Come on, everyone. Answer this before I take you to the next market structure, oligopoly. Come on, everyone. Answers, please. Answers, please. Come on, guys. Very good. Correct. So the answer is supernormal profits, normal profits, as well as losses. Correct answer. Moving on, moving on, moving on. Let's pay attention, everyone. Pay attention. Talking about the next point, guys. It takes us to oligopoly. It takes us to oligopoly market. Okay. Let's pay attention. Oligopoly. So, guys, if we talk about an oligopoly market structure, what is going on here, sir? What is going on in an oligopoly market, sir? Can you tell us, sir? Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you all. In an oligopoly market structure, what is going on is, it's a market structure, guys. It's a market structure, guys, with few sellers. I'll not tell you one seller. I'm telling you few sellers in the market. You see? So yes, the number one feature that I'll like to tell you about this market, is that there are few sellers in the market. Sir, can you give us an example? Yes, I'll surely give you an example. Few sellers. I think of the soft drink market when I talk about this. In soft drink space, I see only two mainly. There is this company PepsiCo, and then there is this Coca-Cola Inc. Coca-Cola Inc. This could be one example. The automobile industry in India, I'll give you an example. Like for example, in automobiles, I think there are this, there is this Tata Group, there is this Mahindra and Mahindra, and then what else? What else? Come on, Tatas, Mahindras. Who else are in the car space in India? I think Tatas and Mahindra Group is the main. There may be one or two. I might be missing out on the names, but yes, it's a market characterized by very few sellers. Yes, it's a market characterized by very few sellers in the market. Correct, sir. So that's what I'm talking about. Few sellers. Number two, there is a very huge strategic interdependence. Okay. Strategic interdependence. Here, strategic interdependence. I'll give you an example. Each firm is dependent on another because there are few only. Each firm watches the action of other. What is the action of other? I'll give you an example. Suppose Pepsi brings in a 2 liter cold drink bottle. You know, you will see soon Coca-Cola doing the same. 2 liter bottle. If Coca-Cola reduces its price of bottle for 2 rupees, 50 rupees per liter, you know, you'll see Pepsi doing the same. They'll reduce it to 50 rupees per liter. You know what I'm trying to say is each one is watching the actions of the other. And you know, again in this market, very aggressive advertising, very fierce advertisement goes on. Fierce advertising. Lot of advertising. Quite aggressive. You know, in one way or the other, very aggressive. You know, it's not wrong to say that they are more aggressive even than in the monopolistic competition. A lot. And obviously, monopolistic competition and oligopoly are very different. Oligopoly, few sellers. Monopolistic competition, many sellers. So it's the biggest difference between the two. Okay. So please pay attention. And in monopolistic competition, what happens is, you know, one seller doesn't care about what the other seller is doing. In a monopolistic competition, let's say even if Adidas is doing something, Nike won't care. Nike would mind their own business. Understood? That's what I'm trying to say. But in oligopoly, you will always want to keep a closer look at what your competition is doing. You will always want to keep a closer look at what your competition is doing. Always a closer look at your competition. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. So guys, having said that, now we are discussing the concept of types of oligopoly, right? Now we are discussing the concepts of types of oligopoly, right? So have a look here. Types of oligopoly. Types of oligopoly. Let's talk about it here. Let's talk about types of oligopoly. Let's talk about types of oligopoly. One after the other. Okay? Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Number one. Pure or perfect oligopoly. Pure or perfect oligopoly. What does it mean, sir? You know, it's a market structure, you know, where there are few sellers, and guess what? Where there are few sellers in the market, and guess what? I'll tell you what. There are few sellers in the market, and guess what? The products that they are selling are completely homogeneous. Huh? Sir, how is it possible? You know, just think of the oil business. Is oil different? No. Just think of the iron and steel business. So let's say there is, you know, Tisco, Tata Iron and Steel Company, you know. Similarly, there is Jindal Steel, Tata Iron Steel. So are the steel different? No, you cannot differentiate there. That's what I'm saying. So pure और perfect oligopoly वो situation है जहां पे जो प्रोडक्ट सेलर्स तो फ्यू ही है पर जो वो प्रोडक्ट बेच रहे हैं वो एग्जैक्टली सेम है. जो प्रोडक्ट वो बेच रहे हैं वो एग्जैक्टली सेम है. समझ गए आप? ये हो गया आपका प्रोडक्ट्स जब एग्जैक्टली सेम हो, हर सेलर एग्जैक्टली सेम प्रोडक्ट बेच रहा हो, तब आप उसको बोलते हैं प्योर और परफेक्ट ऑलिगोपोली. करेक्ट? मूविंग ऑन. नेक्स्ट टाइप इज माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, you know, what do we call it? We call it open and closed oligopoly. We call it open and closed oligopoly. Open and closed oligopoly. Can you tell us, sir, what is it? Open and closed oligopoly. You know, it's an open oligopoly if there is freedom of entry and exit, but it's a closed oligopoly if no new firm can enter or exit. No new firm can enter. You know, it's that difficult to enter. You know, for example, I'll tell you, like, you know, guys, there are two groups selling oil. Two groups selling oil. For example, OPEC, and then there is this another group, oil seller only, OPEC plus. Now there are two different sellers. Now they are selling oil. To enter this market by a new country, the OPEC and OPEC plus will not let them enter only. They have such strong control over the market. That's the restriction. But if there is freedom, then it's cool. Then it's open oligopoly. Understood? Closed means there is no there is some kind of restriction. Open means freedom. Understood? So that's the point here. These are very basic points, so just study and jump out. Don't stick too much in concepts like this. Moving on. Okay. Number 3, collusive and competitive oligopoly. Collusive and competitive oligopoly. I'll tell you guys. Collusive and competitive oligopoly. I'll continue my example. Collusive and competitive oligopoly. So what's happening here, guys? Collusive and competitive oligopoly. I'll tell you what is happening here. Pay attention here. Pay attention, everyone. Collusive means like this opaque only. I'll give you some example. Like let's say Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, this Saudi Arabia, and so many others. They have come together, and now this decide the prices of oil, etc. To decide the price of oil, natural gas, etc. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That's collusive oligopoly. When the sellers have decided that they will sell together, but so there is an understanding that OPEC is an example of collusive oligopoly. So there is kind of a cartel. So there is an understanding. There is a cartel, understanding in the cartel members. They are working together for the mutual benefit of all. But what's competitive? But what competitive is, there is no such understanding. Each one will play their own game. Like Russia will decide its own price. Kuwait will decide its own price. Iraq and Iran will decide their own prices. When there is no, when there is no understanding as such, that's what you call it competitive oligopoly. Understood? Okay, great, sir. And then, my dear friends, number 4, partial or full oligopoly. Sir, can you please explain the same? Yes, I can. I'll do that. Partial or full oligopoly. See, pay attention. Lovely friends, partial oligopoly is a situation, where if there are many sellers, let's say there are many sellers in the market, but there is one large seller. So other sellers are following what the larger seller is doing. Like you see, now Jio has become so large that Airtel and this, what do we call it, other brands, whatever it is, Vodafone, they are following what Jio is doing. They are so large. That's partial oligopoly. But let's talk about full oligopoly. When everybody is almost of equal size, like there is no one single leader. So partial oligopoly is characterized by one single leader and some other firms. One single leader and some small firms who follow the leader. Here all are equal. If all are equal, almost equal, if not exactly, that's full oligopoly. But if there is some kind of discrimination taking place or going on here, it's only partial oligopoly that we are referring to. It's only partial oligopoly that we are referring to. It's only partial oligopoly that we are referring to here. Okay, it's partial oligopoly that we are referring to. Got it, guys? Come on, everyone. Got it? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. In the chat. Come on, friends. Come on, friends. Come on, come on, come on, friends. Attack. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Moving on. And the last variety of types of oligopoly is, where we call it to be, what should I say? Syndicated and organized oligopoly. Syndicated and organized oligopoly. Syndicated and organized oligopoly. Okay. So let's go here. Syndicated and organized oligopoly. Let's go here. Syndicated and organized oligopoly. Sir, what is going on here? Sir, what is going on here? Sir, what is going on here? Syndicated and organized oligopoly. You know what happens? Sometimes now these firms, you know, they take their product and there is this syndicate, another firm basically. They sell their products to this firm and now this firm will sell the product in the market. This syndicate will sell the product in the market. So these small sellers are not directly selling in the market. They are selling it through a syndicate, central syndicate. Syndicate means who will collect the product from everyone. Okay? Yes. And what is organized oligopoly? Organized oligopoly is basically that these few firms, they themselves are becoming the syndicate. And you know, they are selling it in the market. They are selling it in the market. Sir, so how is it different from collusive oligopoly? Yes, there is some kind of collusion here as well. But the difference is in collusive oligopoly, you know, the products are exactly the same. Here they might be somehow different, but it doesn't matter. You know, you just remember one thing. You know, what should I say? The sellers bring themselves together, organize themselves together. That is organized oligopoly. When they sell to a central syndicate, that's syndicated oligopoly. You know, bus, that's it. You don't need to get into the depths of it. If they are selling it through syndicated. If they are organizing themselves into a single group, that's organized oligopoly. Don't need to care much about the same, you know, because at the end of the day, only limited importance is there. So pay attention, guys. What is important? Focus on that, sir. All right, go ahead, guys. And guys, one more interesting thing, you know, people, you know, one interesting thing is that there was a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate about the kind of, what should I say, the demand curve that is experienced by an oligopoly. You know, the oligopoly's demand curve is somehow very different. Oligopoly demand curve is somehow very different. Okay, the oligopoly demand curve is somehow very different. So I'll tell you what. Come on, everyone. The oligopoly demand curve is somehow different. You know why? Because there was a lot of argument and fight with the economists. There was a lot of argument and fight within the economists. You know, like how it will look. So eventually, Paul Sweezy, an economist, gave a model which is also called Sweezy model. So this is how it looks like. The demand curve is called Kinked demand curve, and I'll tell you why. Don't worry, I'll explain the logic. Kinked demand curve. Kinked demand curve. Okay, come on, everyone. Kinked demand curve. I'll show it to you. So here there is this price and there is this quantity. Kinked demand curve means first it will go like this and then it will go like this. That's what. So there is a central kink in between. This point is called the kink, where the shape is changing somehow. That's what oligopoly market is all about. Sir, can you tell us why this is happening? I'll tell you why. Guys, now what is happening right now is, you see, that suppose, let me draw this price and quantity axis, okay? Suppose this is price P1, you know, that is charged by a seller. And this is the quantity of the product demanded of the seller. Great. Now, what is happening is that suppose, or rather, let's keep it here. Let's keep it here a little here. Okay, let's pay attention. Price is this, quantity is this. Okay. Now, let's say this seller decides to, what should I say, increase the price of his products. So when they try to increase the price of their product, let's say P2, because of this stupid decision of raising the price, they've raised the price by very limited. But will the other firms will also raise their price? No. they will not follow you. Other firms will not follow you if you raise the price. So your quantity, your product's quantity demanded will fall by a huge quantity. But suppose if instead of raising the price, if a firm is deciding to reduce the price, other firms will also follow the same. So yes, the demand for your products will increase, but will it increase by much? No, because other firms have also reduced their prices. So yes, there might be some rise in demand, but not much. So the demand curve is like this, and if you join this, you will always notice a kink between. So because there is high elasticity, when you are raising your price, because others are not following you. High elasticity, but there is low elasticity as well. And that's why, Paul Sweezy's model is, one of the best models to explain the demand curve here. That's the Paul Sweezy model, friends. That's the Paul Sweezy model, friends. Guys, that's the Paul Sweezy model. I hope it's crystal clear. I hope it's crystal clear. Come on, guys, what say? Is it crystal clear or not? It seems to be. Let's see. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Fantastic. So, guys, having said all this, let me ask you one or two more questions, okay? Let me ask you one or two more questions, and I'll be in a position to understand whether you all are with me or not. Okay, so let's see. Kinked demand curve is a feature of perfect competition, monopolistic competition, monopoly, D, oligopoly. Next question. Strategic interdependence, like one firm depending upon other. Strategic interdependence is a feature of A, again, perfect competition, monopolistic competition, monopoly, D, oligopoly. Guys, let's hear it. Come on, everyone. Come on, everyone. 2 points I have asked till now. So, king demand curve is a feature of oligopoly market. Great. Again. Similarly, strategic interdependence, feature of oligopoly market. Correct. Next question, let me ask you all. Kinked demand curve model was given by A. Curno, B. Pigo, C. Sweezy, D. Marshall. Come on, everyone. Who gave this Curno model? What say, guys? Come on, everyone. What do you think? Who gave this Curno model here? Come on. I mean the king demand curve model. By mistake, I called Curno model. Correct. It was Paul Sweezy. So you are correct. It was Sweezy who gave this concept. It was Sweezy indeed who gave this concept. Okay. Great, sir. Great. So my dear friends, if you all pay attention, now what I'll do is I'll revise this one again in Hindi once, okay, for the benefit of all. Okay, once in Hindi as well. Okay, so pay attention. अगर ये प्राइस चलने लग रहा है इस क्वांटिटी लेवल पर, अगर एक फर्म सोचता है कि मैं प्राइस रेस करूं, तो वो प्राइस तो रेस करेगा थोड़े से, बट उसका डिमांड गिरेगा जोर से, हौले हौले नहीं, जोर से, बिकॉज बाकी फर्म्स तो फॉलो करेंगे नहीं, बाकी फर्म्स तो अपना प्राइस रेस करेंगे नहीं, तो कोई उससे खरीदेगा नहीं, उसका डिमांड जोर से गिरा, इसलिए इलास्टिक डिमांड कर्व ऊपर में दिख रहा है आपको। तो अगर मान लीजिए वो सोचता है कि ज्यादा बेच के चक्कर में मैं प्राइस रिड्यूस करूंगा, तो भैया ऐसा है कि बाकी सब भी ये फॉलो कर लेंगे, तो आपका प्रोडक्ट का डिमांड बढ़ेगा तो है, देखो, लेकिन इतना जोर से नहीं बढ़ेगा जितना जोर से गिरा था, देयरफॉर थोड़ा सा कर्व स्टीप बनेगा, एंड दैट्स व्हाट इट शोज, किंक्ड डिमांड कर्व। ये स्वीजी मॉडल था. This is what Sweezy model tells us. This is what Paul Sweezy model tells us here. Come on everyone, is it crystal clear? Yes or no? Is it crystal clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is it crystal clear? Yes or no? Come on everyone. Come on guys, come on everyone. फटाफट यार. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Correct sir, correct sir, correct sir. So guys, if you've understood all this, now let me take you to another world. Let me take you to another world. Okay, let me take you to another world. Okay, go ahead guys, let's go ahead. Pay attention everybody. My dear friends, there are some other important market forms which I need you to understand. So let me ask you, sir, other important market forms, you know. I told you now one of the topics was miscellaneous. So that's what we are here on to. Miscellaneous. You remember I told you all? Yes, you did tell us. Miscellaneous types of markets. These are also types of market, but they are not as important as perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and all those things. You know, monopolistic competition. Okay. So have a look here. Have a look here. Pay attention. Point A. Point A. Guys, there is this market which we call as, let's say we call it as Monopsony Market. So what is a Monopsony Market? My dear friend, Monopsony Market is the one which is characterized by a single buyer and many sellers. Which is characterized by a single buyer and many sellers. Single buyer and many sellers. I'll tell you what I am talking about. Single buyer and many sellers. Okay. So now pay attention guys. Let's talk about arms and armaments. In our country, let's say for defense we need something, you know, let's say some missile or something. Now guys, there are different companies in the private space who might be interested in, you know, manufacturing the missiles and all those things, but the buyer is only government. Government is the buyer. Only government will buy missile. You know, it cannot happen that your parents have a lot of money, so you one day buy a missile. It's something you cannot do in our country, and that's what we are talking about. But sellers, there are multiple sellers, you know. Like now, for example, this Rafale jet, the completion of Rafale jet is being completed by Reliance. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Similarly, you know, you can talk about Indian Railways. You know, Indian Railways, let's say some railway sleeper. Now there are different wood manufacturing firms who are making railway sleepers. Okay, wood manufacturing, or rather wood based firms who are making railway sleepers. But the buyer of railway sleepers is only Indian Railways. I mean the Indian government. So when there is a market which is characterized by a single buyer and many sellers, okay, so sir, it seems to be the opposite of monopoly, because in monopoly there was single seller and many buyers. In monopoly there was single seller and many buyers. Here there is the contrary to that. There is single buyer and many sellers. There is single buyer and many sellers, you know, and that's why I say there's contrary to that. This is contrary to that. Monopsony, everyone. Type A. Miscellaneous type A monopsony. You know. So who has control over the price? Obviously, since buyer is one, here the buyer is the price maker. Because you know, he may tell other sellers that I will want only at this price. So buyer is the price maker here. Buyer decides the price. Because you know, it's the buyer who is less in number. Always the person less in number will have the command over the market. When both are in large quantity, it's the market that will take the command. It's not the people then, like in perfect competition. In monopoly, you see the seller took the command. Why? Because seller was less, only one. But in monopsony, buyer is one. So buyer will take the command of the market, and buyer will influence the price and quantity conditions prevailing in the market. Okay? Yes. So we have got the logic. We have got your logic here. Having said that, let's move to point B. After monopoly, guys, we move on to duopoly. What is duopoly? Duopoly. It's a special type of market. It's a special type of oligopoly. In oligopoly we have done, there are few forms. Remember, in oligopoly we have done that there are only few forms. Yes, sir. It is that special type of oligopoly which is characterized by only two forms, which is characterized by only two forms, which is characterized by only two firms, which is characterized by only two firms. Sir, can you give an example? Obviously, like the aircraft manufacturers. In aircraft manufacturing, there are only two. Yes, it's a duopoly. Aircraft. Sir, how? There is this Airbus and then there is this Boeing who is manufacturing. So Airbus and Boeing. None of other examples is there. So yes, duopoly is a market, a special type of oligopoly. Airbus and Boeing. Isn't it, guys? That's duopoly we are talking about. It's what we are calling about duopoly. Correct? Yes, sir, you are correct. Moving on to the next point, guys. If you talk about it, the third point that comes into mind, I mean the third variety is bilateral monopoly. What is it? Bilateral monopoly. It's interesting. There is monopoly from both the sides. That is from the seller side as well as the buyer side. So it's like a market with one seller and one buyer. Sir, how is it possible? Suppose Rafale jets. India wants to buy Rafale jets. Now suppose India is the only buyer. Rafale fighter jets. India is the only buyer. Only buyer. Yes, sir. Only buyer. But come here. France. As far as Rafale jets are concerned, guys, France is the only seller. France is the only seller of Rafale jets in India. Seller. France is the only seller. France is the only seller of Rafale jets in India. That's what I'm talking about. So that's how you get this concept completed. Bilateral monopoly. Bilateral monopoly. Bilateral monopoly. My dear friends, is it crystal clear? Yes or no? Is it crystal clear? Yes or no? Come on, everybody. What say everyone? Is it crystal clear? Yes or no? Bilateral monopoly. One seller, one buyer. Duopoly, two sellers. Monopsony, one buyer, many sellers. Okay? Now, my dear friends, so we have done, all the main and the miscellaneous types of market. We have done all the main and miscellaneous types of market. Sir, can you talk to us about each one of them? Can you talk to us about each one of them? Yes, sure I can. Sure I can. Sir, then please do. Sir, then please do. My dear friends, when I talk about about the nature of products, like we have done perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. Let's talk about the nature of the product. Let's differentiate among the four on the basis of nature of product. So let's see, let's try it out, whether you people are with me or not. I'm just making notes so you people are able to revise. Okay, pay attention, everyone. Pay attention, everyone. Okay, One of our friends are asking, sir, please explain oligopsony also. Okay, I'll do that here. Just a second. Let me explain oligopsony first. This is also miscellaneous category, very simple, yeah. Market characterized by few buyers. Always remember, when there is Sony in the end, it's about the buyers, not about the sellers. Okay. So what is oligopsony? There is few buyers. It's true in the case of factor market. I'll tell you how. Suppose there is a chips manufacturing machine. Now the machine to manufacture chips, there are a lot of sellers in the market who will manufacture machines that is used to make chips, but buyer are few, like Lay's, then there is this Bingo and so on. So but these are large buyers of the machine. When they buy the machine, they'll buy bloody 500 800 machines. That's what I'm talking about. When there are few buyers but there are very large buyers, there are few buyers but there are very large buyers, it happens in the case of defense as well. It happens in the case of defense as well. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Like the chips machine, I gave you an example of. There's a lot of similar products that may, be having few buyers. I'll tell you one thing. I came across a very interesting example. Guys, you all must have known that there is this protection pad. So whenever you are taking a car, this protection pad is there. So in case of a sudden accident, it will come out. Airbags, as we call it. Guys, to manufacture airbags, there is a technology, a kind of pin that you need in order to manufacture airbags. Now there are, since only few automobile manufacturers, all of them are buying it. Only they are buying these pins. It's not people like you and me that are going to buy. So that's what it's talking about. When you are having, few buyers in the market, that is oligopsony. If there is only one buyer, monopsony. If there are few buyers, oligopsony. Obviously, oligopsony. Correct, sir. So now, friends, we were in a very important question. So guys, my question to you all, you can call it an MCQ as well. Tell me about the nature of products sold by each one of those markets. Come on, everyone, I need each one of you. Yes. So very good. Perfect competition sells homogeneous products. Exactly same. Correct. Monopoly, they sell products which have no close substitutes. The product made by them have no close substitutes. Then there is this monopolistic competition. Products are somehow differentiated, maybe on the basis of the brands and so on and so forth, but there is some differentiation. But in oligopoly, it can be both. Products can be exactly same, like in the case of iron and steel, oil, or it can also be very different. It can also be differentiated, like on the basis of cars, like the cars, this aircrafts, they can be somehow differentiated. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Nature of product, very important, guys. You all need to remember it. And my dear friends, one more important thing that I need you all to remember is the twin equilibrium condition in the three markets: monopoly, monopolistic competition, and perfect competition. And the equilibrium conditions are as follows. Equilibrium conditions are as follows. Condition number 1, MC should be equal to MR. Marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue, and MC should cut MR from above or below. Yes, marginal cost should cut marginal revenue from below. MC cuts MR from below. MC cuts MR from below. And so, my dear friends, we have been able to successfully reach the ending of this chapter 4 as well. sir, in our upcoming class, from this price and output determination under different market forms, and in general from chapter 4, we will practice a lot of MCQs. So your homework is complete chapter 4 units A, B and C. You have to study it, you have to practice it. If any class is not seen, then it's in the institute's YouTube channel. Go and watch it. Make sure you all are doing the needful, because once you do it, then you will be able to answer in the next class. Because next class my plan is, to practice at least 40 to 50 MCQs from the market structure, at least 40 to 50 MCQs from this chapter 4 entire market system, isn't it? You will not be able to answer it, guys, if any of your recordings is missing, or any class you have not done, or you have not studied from the institute's material. So please do it, because in the next class my agenda will be that and that only. Having said that, my dear friends, we come to the conclusion of today's class. Thank you very much. That's it for the day. Goodbye everyone. Tata everyone. Tata. Take care. Okay, bye bye everyone. Thank you.